Chapter 24, A Trailer Load of Grace. Well, they've called me out as a bluffer, I thought to myself while I hooked up my flatbed trailer one Monday morning on a cold day in February. What else is there to do now but to prove I'm not kidding by hauling all of their junk to the dump? I felt a little gleeful and excited at that last part. On the Friday before, the Spokane police had pushed out everyone who'd been living under the freeway 2 blocks from the church. Many of them had packed up their tent city structures and loaded their shopping carts and just wandered off. It was just too bad that several of them simply moved their entire camp to our parking lot and in front of one of our main entry doors. We told them on Friday night that they couldn't stay and would have to move on. We said it again on Saturday, and again Sunday morning as we arrived at church. Only on Sunday morning, some punk doped-up attic kid decided to be all foul-mouthed and nasty to me. I'm pretty low tolerant of that kind of thing anymore, so I happily got all up in his business, as they say. It's at times like these I think of the Holy Scriptures. Proverbs 10:14, wise men store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin. Or Proverbs 14:3, a fool's talk brings a rod to his back. And Proverbs 18:6, a fool's lips bring him strife, and his mouth invites a beating. Yes, one day I shall have to start a newsletter article with the words, Pastor Rob was found fulfilling the Scriptures last week in an alley between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. I know you're probably shocked and think we should all be lovey-dovey on the poor, wretched, downcast folks, but that's because you may not have spent enough time among them. Once my friend Mike decided to spell me for an afternoon and take over guarding the main dining room from trouble. He likes to talk about being full of love, and he always posts things on Facebook and Twitter about helping those less fortunate. But that day he went home cussing like a sailor from helping the poor. It happens now and then that someone has to stand on the front line and intercept trouble so that everyone else volunteering can have fun. Usually that's me. That day it was Mike. It all started for him when a crazy lady asked if he was Adolf Hitler's lover, and things kind of went downhill from there. But I digress. I gleefully hooked up the trailer and headed down to the church on that crisp Monday morning. The day before, I had called the cops to have them move the camping along. 3 times. Once that morning and once around 1 p.m. when they showed up to simply inform them to leave. I called again around 5 p.m. as I was leaving and saw that nothing was happening. The lady on the non-emergency cop line was rather annoyed with me and told me the police were too busy handling real problems. She told us we were totally free to haul any junk from our private property to the dump. Since the offending party wouldn't take instructions from us, nor would the cops do anything, what was left but to go down to the men's shelter and recruit some of my bigger, meaner homeless friends and then help me haul the campers' junk to the dump in exchange for a Big Mac. I was honestly looking forward to an altercation with mouthy Proverbs boy. When I arrived at church, about 1/3 of the mountain of junk was moved. A few homeless guys who help us clean the church had already taken action and hauled the humongous pile next to the cyclone fence along the vacant lot across the alley. I pulled into the parking lot with equal parts disappointment and relief. The owners of the pile were nowhere to be seen. I had just stepped inside and was talking to the guys who had moved the pile when a knock came on the door. "Who owns the truck with the trailer attached?" a middle-aged woman on crutches asked hopefully. Oh please, could you help me move my things? I finally got an apartment, but it's about 20 blocks from here, and I have no way to move my things, and I haven't since the police gave us notice and kicked us out from under the freeway. About half the stuff belongs to my roommate, but she's in jail right now and can't help me." She went to use the restroom while we stood around discussing her request for help. We all knew her. Her street name was Mardi Gras. No one knew her real name. She was unusually ornery, even for a street person. "I'm not going to help her, ever," one guy exclaimed with finality. He knew her and couldn't stand her. "She's a mouthy, belligerent drug addict, and I've had enough run-ins with her that I wouldn't help her ever with anything," and he left. The other 3 guys and I discussed, what would Jesus do? This is the part of the story where I should also mention that she pulled a knife once on a board member during a meal when he was trying to get her to behave properly over some issue or another. He was experienced enough to calm her down and get her out. Would Jesus help an ungrateful and unthankful person whose behavior simply didn't deserve any kindness at all? Why, yes, he would. That's the heart of the message of grace. All of us have been unthankful, ungrateful, and belligerent. We are all undeserving wretches who weren't owed an ounce of kindness, yet a loving God showed us every kindness under heaven. He did it anyway. This is what it means to love like Jesus loved. I only have my trailer down here about 3 times a year. What were the odds I would have it that day to help her? I felt like Jesus had set me up. So a guy named Mouse, who lives under the Maple Street Bridge, Phil, our new custodian, who used to be a drug dealer, and John, who is just drunk enough to wobble and slur his words, but not so drunk he couldn't help, joined me in loading her stuff on my trailer and moving her to her new apartment across town. I could sense Jesus smiling at me the whole time. "And you thought you were hooking up the trailer to haul her stuff to the dump today," I sensed Jesus laugh continuously. "All the while I was planning on using you to help her out." That's His grace, kindness to those of us who don't deserve it.